Occasion. Distinguished Senator, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Good morning. Let me stand on the existing protocol. Honorable Minister of Water Resources and my other elder brother, Honorable Minister of Federal Capital Territory. Good morning, everyone. When today, I was not told that I'll be giving any speech. I thought I'll come here and observe you. Anyway, good morning once again, and I wish everybody here to have a very fruitful discussion this morning. I know this is the last day of the event. You've been here in the last 3-4 days, and so I wish everybody well. But I would like co-mandate of the river basins. This is very important. Year in, year out, you see the allocation to these river basins. But when they came to defend the budget, they could not justify some of the huge investments in this area. Please, this is very important, and I hope by next year, or when we come around for the oversight, there will be some adjustment. Please, if we do what these agencies were created to do, I'm sure we'll see a lot of improvement in the area of food security in this country. Secondly, on a lighter note, Honorable Minister, amongst the MDs of some of these, not seen any woman. Please, next time, consider a woman. Our president is gender sensitive. All you need is for you to recommend. I'm sure women can do a very good job. We have women all over the place, and I believe it's key, important, and fundamental that we should please include them when next you are appointing into any position. Thank you once again, and I wish you a fruitful discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, very distinguished senators. Permit me to also welcome the Committee on Water Resources from the House of Representatives, our very one, Honorable Sada Soli, to please come forward and also give us a goodwill message. A round of applause for him as he steps to the podium. Thank you, sir.
Honorable Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, the Honorable Minister of Water Resources, the Permanent Secretary, my brother, the India, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good morning. The National Water Resources Council is positioned to make a decision or help in decision making in our water sector. Considering the position this council has in the Water Resources Bill, it occupies a position whereby the law that governs the water sector emanates from that council. This is a council that has a representation from the 36 states plus FCT. So it is basically the water sector. it is basically the water resources industry. It is basically the driver of water resources infrastructure. I believe this council will help in redirecting the water resources sector to create a sustainable water resources infrastructure with your advice and the components of knowledge that you have accrued over the years will help to establish the enormous water resources infrastructure we have in this country to become sustainable. Considering the abundant blame we have in this country, if we do not take the advantage of this council, then we will be lagging behind. Let me throw a challenge to all of you with regards to water resources bill, which is very sad and very annoying that people should even attempt to attack that legislation. Every one of us here or all over the country needs water resources, not water as a product, water resources. If we look at the value chain of water resources in this country, it can add up to about 700 billion to our GDP. But where are we? We allow ourselves to be boxed by skeptics, some dishonest businessmen and businesswomen in the sector to delay the passage of this bill because they have created a kind of impression outside there that this law is obnoxious. No, it's because they are running away from being regulated. Please, you should not be shy. This is the only council that can make and erase that kind of impression that was created out there by some wicked people. I will call them wicked people because they do not want to be regulated. Let's call a spade a spade. We must begin to call a spade in this country. It is the responsibility of the Water Resources Council, not the Water Resources Ministry, to get this bill passed. Not even the National Assembly. National Assembly, we are ready, but we are susceptible to public opinion. Now, this bill is subjected to public opinion. It is you that will go out there and create a positive public opinion, and you leave the rest to the National Assembly. If the public opinion is against this bill, it will be extremely difficult for National Assembly to make any reasonable move to make it pass, because the law is for the public. We are there as your representative. Honest people that are in the industry, you must work hard to get this thing moved on. Honorable Minister, I've spoken so much about the Water Resources Bill because I have read the 78 pages, word by word, of that bill. It is important. We do everything possible. This bill is not against any section of this country. If anybody is making any reportage, the damaging reportage, the stupid reportage that are there, kicking against a law that has been existing for the last 35 years. 35 years, 34 years, 24 years, and 10 years. Those are the components of that bill. But some dangerous people created a very dangerous mindset in the minds of Nigerians that this bill is against a section of the country. That is wrong. This is a platform for anybody that feels that that bill or that law is against a section of a country, now you have the opportunity, the council, to sit down and discuss it and bring out where that law is against a section of a country so that we move from that position. Thank you, Honourable Minister, and thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you. Please, it deserves another round of applause for always supporting us. We thank you very much. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the Ministry of Affairs is always supporting us in witness. Permit me to invite the representative of the Honorable Minister, who is the Permanent Secretary in that ministry, Dr. Mrs. Adora Ifoma Ayawa Taku, to please kindly come up and give us her own goodwill message. We thank you very much, Permanent Secretary.
The Honorable Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Malam Mohammed Musa Bello, Honorable Minister of Water Resources, Engineer Suleiman Adamu, distinguished Senator and Chairman of the Senate Committee on Water Resources, and the Honorable Member of the House of Reps Committee and Chairman of the House of Reps Committee on Water Resources, the Permanent Secretary, Federal Ministry of Water Resources, my dear sister, Mrs. Didi Walton-Jack, all the Federal Permanent Secretaries serving and retired here present, Honorable Commissioners of Water Resources here present, heads and chief executive officers of government agencies here present, state permanent secretaries, directors here present, members of the press, distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. I'm here wearing two caps as the Permanent Secretary of the Federal Ministry of Women Affairs and also representing the Honorable Minister of Women Affairs, Dame Pauline Talen, who is unavoidably absent. I bring you warm greetings from her. And it is my pleasure to be part of this 27th National Regular Meeting of the Council on Water Resources with the theme, Managing Water Resources in Crisis, the Nigeria Experience. And I'll say that this theme is very apt, as water is very essential in every family, in every home, and the need for water, particularly for the women and the girl child, cannot be overemphasized. The Federal Ministry of Women Affairs is indeed very delighted to be part of this event, and we would wish to seize this opportunity to add our voice to the fact to all other stakeholders on the need for availability of water, not only in the community, we need to have it in our markets, in our schools, in our places of worship, in our child care centers, and of course, in our homes for our household chores and other uses. As we all know, no one can live without water. Water is also very essential for women and the girl child, particularly during their monthly menstrual cycle and for basic hygiene. And you will all agree with me that non-availability of water can actually exacerbate absenteeism, particularly of the girl child from school, and can also fuel the spread of communicable diseases in our communities. Just recently, the Honorable Minister of Women Affairs flagged off the campaign for girl child education while calling on all stakeholders to ensure that each community provides at least one borehole and clean toilets to encourage girls to go to school and accelerate the fight against open unhealthy habits. Menstrual hygiene kits were distributed to the schoolgirls as an incentive and encouragement for their retention in school in order to complete their education. At this juncture, I would wish to urge all stakeholders to redouble efforts towards ensuring the provision of potable water in all communities and in schools for improved health, especially at this time of the COVID-19 pandemic. In conclusion, I wish to congratulate the Federal Ministry of Water Resources and to assure you that the Federal Ministry of Women Affairs is ever willing and ready to collaborate with you in all your interventions to ensure access to quality water for the family and indeed for the entire nation. I thank you all for your attention.
Thank you very much, the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Women Affairs. We're going to be taking the documentary at this particular moment. I hope, all right, thank you very much.
Nigeria is a land of endless possibilities, a land full of abundant natural resources that has seen successive administrations harnessing them for the overall benefits of the people of Nigeria, although not yet at its bright destination.
The Buhari administration is committed to complete overhaul of the structure of our economy which has been dependent on crude oil for decades, by largely diversifying from this single export commodity to more productive activities.
Water is one of the most precious and important natural resources, and Nigeria is considered to be a socio-economic development as it is required for industrial production, irrigated agriculture, domestic use, recreation and tourism, among others.
Our role here is to provide water infrastructure for drinking, for hydropower, and for irrigation. That is the core mandate of the ministry. And everything we've been doing is along that line. But bear in mind that, especially for water supply, the primary responsibility for providing it rests with state governments and local governments. So anything that the federal government has been doing is an intervention over the years, and that's what we should continue to be doing.
Most important to mention in the history of Nigeria water resource sector is the genuine unprecedented roadmap created from 2015 when the present administration came on board with a clear-cut vision to reinvigorate the water resources sector better than it used to be. And the coming on board of an astute engineer, Engineer Suleiman Adamu, fellow Nigeria Society of Engineers and fellow Academy of Engineering as the Honorable Minister of Water Resources in November 2015, following his appointment by His Excellency President Muhammadu Buhari, has been a value addition to the water resources sector. Described as a square peg in square hole, the Honorable Minister in an unprecedented manner began the work of enhancing the development of a more vibrant and economically rewarding water resources sector through a master plan that will put Nigeria at par with other nations who have advanced their water resources through the use of technology. Going back to the drawing board that identified the challenges and prospects in the sector, stakeholders' involvement and the use of institutional policy framework have played a vital role in the number of successes recorded so far, with the Minister of Water Resources on the driving seat.
Since the minister came on board, we have been able to look at the schemes and determine those that we can partner with the private sector to improve the infrastructure, and then to be able to bring their expertise to operate and maintain the schemes.
Getting the record straight, the ministry under the stewardship of Engineer Suleiman Adamu is changing the narrative of lack of water to Nigerians and poor sanitation across the country to a more palatable story through the revitalizing of the WASH Action Plan for a partnership with the states on expanded water, sanitation and hygiene, and the enhanced rural water supply schemes. This is in addition to the reorganization of human and material resources for optimum results.
We also hope to create a Clean Nigeria movement and to harmonize ministerial activities so that we have a seamless policies regarding sanitation in the country. We also requested for an annual budget of about 10.6 billion to be approved.
5 years on, the steady progress and the modest achievements recorded so far are not unconnected to the zeal and passionate determination of the current leadership of the ministry to deliver in line with the next level mandate of the Buhari-led administration. With all intents and purposes, the National Water Resources Bill, meant for the effective water sector governance and regulatory framework that will boost private sector participation in Nigeria, is however being misconstrued to some quarters. Although the ministry is keeping its head focused on the goals and advocacy to sensitize Nigerians and all stakeholders on the need for the bill to be passed.
A lot of things have been said in the public domain. It's a Ruga bill. It's trying to steal. The federal government wants to take over land along the banks of the river. There is nothing like that in this bill. There is no, in fact, the only place where land was mentioned is in the River Basins Act, the section that deals with river basins. And that, it's saying, what it says there is that any land that the river basin development authorities are going to acquire for irrigation, and so it must be consistent with the Land Use Act. It is clearly stated there. And what that means is that they have to get the consent of the governor. So there is like land grab, there is nothing like power grab. There is nowhere in this bill that says we're taking 10 inches or 1 inch or 10 kilometers either side of the river bank for the use of Fulani herdsmen.
Nigeria, being a signatory to international protocols, conventions and treaties on integrated water resources management and climate change, cannot afford to be left behind in the actualization of the ideals of such agreements. That is why, at different fora of stakeholders' engagement, the Honorable Minister of Water Resources has not relented in drawing the attention of critical stakeholders, policy formulators and implementers on the dire need for Nigeria to have the Water Resources Management Bill passed into law. Keeping the blueprints of conceptualizing and realizing modern water infrastructure in the year 2020, just as it was witnessed in the past 4 years challenge of coronavirus pandemic in rural areas.
To achieve the Sustainable Development Goals targets for water supply, sanitation and hygiene by 2030. Henceforth, federal government support to state governments will be based on their commitment to implement the national water supply, sanitation and action plan, and to end open defecation by 2025.
The availability of water in both quantity and quality is severely affected by many variables, such as climate change, with more unpredictable outcomes on livelihood. Today, climate change is becoming the most critical international problem of the 21st century. Among the consequences of climate change, the most important is its impact on water resources, the basis for environmental well-being, economic growth and global security, as well as regional violent conflict. Nigeria is having its own fair share of climate change effects, which has manifested in many ways. This concern has necessitated a climate change adaptation, and with Nigeria having signed onto the Treaty of Integrated Water Resource Management, joining the Committee of Nations across the globe in working towards mitigating the impact. Nigeria is also joining the rest of the world to build resilience that promote a holistic approach to water management for a win-win solution. The ministry, through the leadership of the Water Resources Minister, Engineer Suleiman Adamu, has been playing a prominent role in the mitigation of flood in the country. And this is what the Integrated Water Resource Management Commission is targeted to achieve. Due cognizance of these challenges in the water, a think tank platform like the National Council on Water Resources, NCWR, will be focused on proffering the needed arsenals for solving these challenges. Especially from the development of irrigated agriculture, which the River Basin Development Authorities have been reinvented to provide for our teeming population. The 27th regular meeting of the National Council on Water Resources with the theme Managing Water Resources in Crisis, the Nigerian experience is indeed very apt in charting a way forward, not forgetting the sub-themes for the regular meeting, which include pre-COVID-19 pandemic, post-COVID-19 pandemic, and impact of climate change on resource management. Still keeping the vision alive of working to ensure a more robust water sector, Engineer Suleiman Adamu and the ministry officials are working closely with global players